We've come a long way from 2 years ago when the team was 3-9 and 0-8 in the conference. And guys like John Jerry, who has a chance to be one of the best offensive tackles in the country, and Shea Hodds and Kendrick Lewis and Marshae Green and Dexter McCluster, just to name a few. Some of those guys are viewed by you and many others in the country a whole lot differently than they were 2 years ago. And I want you to ask yourself, really, what's changed about those players? And obviously, there's been a regime change. Coach Nutt came in. He's the new head coach. I've been with him now for 12 years. And if you were to ask our football team what's changed about them, there'd be a lot of different answers. You know, there's 105 guys that we're allowed to bring to camp. You'd get 105 different answers. But the one that I want you to focus on tonight is this. They see themselves differently. They see themselves differently. And there's power in that. I want you to really focus in on that tonight, because I'm going to talk about that for a few minutes, and later on Isaac's going to talk about that. But they see themselves differently, and because they see themselves differently, you see them differently. For the first time in school history, before one snap has been taken, before one ball's been kicked, every ticket has been sold out. And we're very humbled by that, and we're very thankful for that. But how they see themselves has changed how you see them, how the country sees them. How you see yourself is important. Coach Nutt's always saying to the team, these are the best days of your life. These are the best days of your life. And I'm telling you tonight, these are the best days of your life. I read a book, this book here by Og Mandino, The Greatest Miracle in the World. And Og Mandino is an inspirational author. He sold over 50 million copies of his books, have been translated in over 25 different languages. Many of his principles that have been written, that he used are biblically based principles. And one of the chapters in this book, and I would encourage you to read this book. I know you got a few books on your plate right now, but when you get a chance in your free time, pick that book up. There's a chapter in that book called the God Memorandum. And in there is 4 principles. And the very first principle is that we're blessed. And he makes a case. It's basically God writing this letter to this gentleman. And he makes a case based on the fact that we are the greatest miracle. And he talks about the fact that we are always making excuses for why we don't achieve our goals and dreams. We're always making excuses. And a lot of times, if we're honest, we even blame God for why we don't achieve our goals and dreams. But in this case that God makes, he takes all the excuses out of it when he talks about how fearfully and wonderfully made we are. And I want you to take inventory with this list that was listed in this book. Our eyes, 100 million receptors, which gives you the ability to see a leaf, an eagle, a star, a rainbow, the game on Sunday that we love so much. Our ears, 24,000 fibers, which he's built in your ears to vibrate to the wind of the trees, the tides of the rocks, the children that play. Our lips, no other creature can speak. The ability to move, 500 muscles, 200 bones, 7 miles of nerve fibers, all synchronized for your bidding. Your heart, 36 million beats each year. How about the blood in your body? 5 quarts with 22 trillion blood cells. Each second, 2 million of your blood cells die and are replaced by 2 million more. Your brain, 3 pounds, and within it are 13 billion nerve cells, more than 3 times the amount of people on this earth. And he's implanted within them more than 1,000 billion protein molecules that file away every sound, smell, action, and experience. Every incident of your life is there for your bidding, for your recall. And all of this gives us the ability to do whatever we want to do. We're a miracle. You're a miracle. We've got no excuses, which leads to point 2 in this chapter. And it is, we are to proclaim our rarity. Now, he does that by saying this. We say things are rare based on, like, for instance, a painting by Rembrandt, a violin like by Stradivarius, or a play by Shakespeare. And we do that because we say that they were created by a master and there's very few of them. And based on that reasoning alone, follow that reasoning for a second, based on that reasoning alone, you're the rarest thing on this planet. Because you've been created by the master, and there's only one of you. When you were conceived, there was 400 million seeds of love that went forth, but only one made it. And from that one, and through hundreds of genes in each of the chromosomes, and from our mothers and fathers, he could have, listen to this, he could have created 300,000 billion different human beings. Did you hear me? He could have created 300,000 billion different human beings, but he created you. You're the rarest thing in this world. And each of us, we have a DNA code that's made up of 3 billion different characters. And scientists say that if you took that DNA code out of the cells and you stretched it out, it would stretch out into 6 feet of length. And if you would read your DNA code 1 character a second for both night and day, it would take you 96 years to read your DNA code. 96 years to read about you. You're the rarest thing. You're a miracle. So why do you value yourself sometimes with pennies when you're worth a king's ransom? You know, I started this whole talk off, and probably some of you said, boy, we thought maybe he'd have a spirit of humility about himself. He started talking about, their preseason ranked 5th in the country. They've been on this cover of Sports Illustrated twice. I did that for a purpose. It's great that we've been picked, all of this and all of that. But I did that to make a point. It's great that we've been picked 5th in the country, 6th in the country. But how awesome is it that you've been picked by God to be number 1? How awesome is that? How awesome is it that we were picked to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated twice? In 18 years of coaching, that's never happened to me. It's an awesome experience. I thank God for it every day. It's incredible. But how awesome is it that yours is the only picture that hangs next to your name, that hangs next to your DNA code, that hangs next to your special talents, and that when God could have chose over 300,000 billion different people, he chose you. He didn't choose anybody else. He chose you. We're no doubt blessed, and we're no doubt rare, the rarest things on this planet. The question is, what will we do with this knowledge? Our players have changed the way they view themselves. That's one of the changes that took place when we took over as coaches. They definitely changed the way they view themselves. There's no doubt. That's just one of the things that changed. And when they changed the way they viewed themselves, you changed the way you viewed them. And if you start changing the way you view yourself, if you start seeing yourself the way God sees you, because you know how God sees you? He sees you as a miracle. You're the rarest thing on this planet. You're a miracle. And the reason I know there's power in this is because for the first time in school history, over 50,000 tickets have been sold, and we haven't even played a game yet. How you view yourself is important. If you start seeing yourself as a miracle, how will other people start seeing you? The opportunities that you will have to tell other people about this creator of the universe, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's the life changer. You can share about that. What will you do with this blessing that you've been blessed with? What will you do with this power of rarity? It's up to you.